10:05 p.m. Please keep in mind these meetings may be audio or visually recorded. Will any members present please state their name for the record?
Phoenix Hempstead.
Sarah G's.
Normal Sargent.
Keith Putnam.
Matthew Bravo is chair. Seeing as there are 8 members present, quorum has been established. We will now move into consideration of SSB 2025-1070 with no authors. Actually, there is an author present. Apologies. 5 minutes of presentation whenever you're ready, or you can wait.
I will wait.
Okay. We now move into question and answer. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we now move into debate. 5 minutes of debate beginning now. I talked to Emma Jabor about this. She said she hadn't had a chance to talk about it with the Vice President's office, seeing as they were some of the ones who were trying to get these same initiatives passed. So she said she's going to talk to her this week, and then she's more than fine with us tabling it for this week and rehearing it. So, all right, is there any further debate? Seeing none, we now move into motions. Do I hear any motions at this time? There's been a motion made to table SSB 2025-1070 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Now moving into consideration of SSB 2025-1077. Seeing as there is no author or sponsor present, we now move directly into 5 minutes of debate. I think 77. The only thing that I can see here is my apologies. I thought the proviso had 2 different people with an unnamed position, but that is both of their positions. So, hearing no debate, do we have any further debate?
Is there extra space between the lost and the whole house?
And what's on
It might be. The last and second to last? I think it says it's just one. Yeah. Oh, maybe it's because of line spacing. Yep, I just changed it.
Should there be a double space between the bottom two?
Honestly, that doesn't matter. Yeah, I think one thing that, and I might just try and point some things out today for you and use, but one of the things is that with the sources, really as long as they're hyperlinked and numbered, if they're single spaced, double spaced, then we just don't want it to be on a whole other page. But okay. So, any further debate? Seeing as there's no debate, we now move into motions. Do I hear the motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1077 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1077 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Now move into SSB 2025-1078. Seeing as there is no author or sponsor present, we now move directly into debate. So the one thing when I was reviewing this bill is at the top of the whereas clause it says University of Florida requires all registered student organizations except for social sororities and fraternities to have an eligible and approved advisor who is full-time, salaried or full professional staff member, not on extended leave. I will say, and I've checked the source for this through the student engagement office that he has listed there. I know that fraternities and sororities have to have an advisor, a full-time advisor, and when I checked the source there wasn't anything stating about which organizations do and don't need advisors. You're more than welcome to click on it yourselves. if you look at it, it just talks about the eligibility for an advisor, their role, and some expectations. But yeah, seeing as fraternities and sororities also have to be registered student organizations too, they follow all the same guidelines.
So should we just strike the social sororities and fraternities, or
Yeah, we can do that because all student organizations, including them, still need to have some. So, and it also talks about 1078. In this whereas clause, it talks about how enhanced collaboration between students, faculty, it's the last one, through structured mentorship has been shown to enrich. Is that 5 or no? Okay. Has been shown to enrich the educational experience, promote professional development, and strengthen the university community. While I'm sure we can all agree that that is the case and that is true, typically with things like that, you would usually need a source. It's not the world's biggest deal, but for future reference, we might want to instruct members of the Senate on that, especially as we work on the legislative workshop presentation later. So, just something to point out. And then as well, dealing with the proviso, I know for a fact that Justin and Jerome do not deal with that, this specific issue. The people who deal with that are the Office of Community and Belonging, so we can add them to the proviso instead. But Justin and Jerome just do not have any responsibility over the advising process for clubs and organizations.
Do you want to strike them?
Yeah, but we can replace them with people from the Office of Community and Belonging if you want. We should probably go find out who we could contact within it or who's head of advising. If we want to do that now, or if we want to table and leave it up to them, we can.
I think we should table it because I feel like
Sure. Okay. That's fair. All right. We will not make the precedent of just adding people to provisos because we have to look them up. That should be done by the author because we don't know who explicitly they want to send it to.
right, or he wants to send it to those people anyway.
Before we table it, should we still strike the accept
Yeah,
social
We
services?
still can, and then we can table that portion of the bill. So. That's good. All right. Is there any further debate? All right, seeing none, we now move into motions. Do I hear any motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1078 to strike in the first whereas clause, except social sororities and fraternities. By unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made regarding striking language in the first whereas clause. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. Follow up.
I move to table SSB 2025-1078 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to table SSB 2025-1078 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. Okay. Now we move into consideration of SSB 2025-1079. Seeing as there is no author sponsor present, we now move into 5 minutes of debate. I'll give everybody a little bit to read the bill. Okay, do I hear any debate?
I think it's a great bill. Just looking at the proviso, the last two names don't really make sense to send it to them.
Yeah, I would agree. The Career Foundations
Yeah.
doesn't really deal with this in any way, and neither does the Conference and Event Planner. The first name directly does. The director of the Career Connection Center currently, Angel Iverson. I was also informed that they talked to Angel Iverson as a result of this, but they didn't talk to the other two, so we've tried to set that precedent over the course of Senate this term, and we'll probably keep to that precedent. And then just certain language, we've done this with some of the bills that have come up prior in Senate, using words like urges and calls on. I just think they're a little too forceful. That's been my opinion. That's also been previous chair's position and the chair before that's. It's better to have a constructive relationship with the people who you want to get things done with and not try and bark at them in bills. We've had to change this in the past for multiple bills, so that's just my stance on it. Okay. Is there any further debate?
So we should change student grooming calls on to encourages,
Sure. And
and then urges to what do you think?
And like
we can recommend, yeah.
Recommends.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Any further debate? Hearing none, we now move into motions. Do I hear any motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1079 to strike out the last two names of the proviso, the conference and event planner Courtney Curry, and the senior associate director for Career Foundations Alexandra Simon by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to remove two names from the proviso along with their titles by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Do I hear any other motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1079 to change the word calls to encourages. Well, to change calls on to encourages on the second to last therefore clause, and then change urges from the first therefore clause to recommends. Or recommend, there you go. To recommend. By unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to change language in two of the therefore clauses by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay. All right, let me make sure that updated for y'all. Okay, how's that look? Good. Alright. Do we hear any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1079 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1079 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, we now move into consideration of SSB 2025-1080. Seeing as there is no author or sponsor present, we now move directly into 5 minutes of debate. We'll give you all a chance to read it.
I think the bill's great. The only thing I have is that I wish that she had more sources for some of these, like having a source for single-use plastic bottles, which can treat environmental harm. That's true, but it'd be nice to have
Yeah.
a source that we can see information.
Agreed, yeah, we'll definitely focus on that in the legislative workshops work after this. I know for a fact that Senator Rathett has contacted all the people in her proviso. She's talked to many people within rec sports about this. She actually asked them about the specific resolution. They said they would be very happy to co-sign it, so. All right, is there any further debate?
Does it need to be a period after the proviso?
We typically, yeah, I think we typically have had one at the end of each proviso. There technically doesn't need to be, but we can keep the precedent, sure, something on amended before. Do I hear any further debate? All right, we now move into motions. Do I hear any motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1080 to add a period at the end of the proviso by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to add a period at the end of the proviso in 1080 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right, so do I hear any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1080 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1080 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. We now move into the consideration of SSB 2025-1080. Oh, sorry, apologies. 1081 was withdrawn by the author. She wanted to rework some of it. So we now move into the consideration of SSB 2025-1082. Seeing as there is no author or sponsor present, we now move directly into 5 minutes of debate. Yeah, I mentioned this actually when Senator Larson was in the room. I'm not sure if any other members of the public were. Oh, my apologies also. Could members of the public please step in here for the record?
Tyler Sklar.
Andrew Larson.
Thank you. My bad. Really, the one thing that I see with this is the title doesn't really match the resolution. It should be more something like recognizing the return of open mic night. If we were to talk about, it talks about the benefits of it for about one sentence, and the rest of it talks about the tradition of it, the history of it, expressing gratitude to people in the rights union who brought it back. So my opinion is just that it should be about the return rather than the benefit. That's kind of just semantics. And then there is also a capital this and for the second whereas clause, so we'll probably just have to make that lowercase. I will also say we typically do not add people to the proviso. However, for this, I think we should make an exception because it is about thanking members of faculty or staff for helping put it back on an event. They also already have the positions listed in the last therefore clause, and they express gratitude and thankfulness to them. I think that they would appreciate that they're getting they're getting legislation about the hard work they've put in, and since they've already done the work for us, if we want to copy the names of the people they have there and put them in the proviso, I just think that's a good thing to do. So, all right. Any further debate? All right. We now move into motions. Do I hear any motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1082 to change the T on the first whereas clause to lowercase.
Second.
Sorry for the second whereas clause. And then in the proviso include Florida Fresh, then District Manager, Marketing Director, Cortland Thomas, Rights Union Marketing and Communications Specialist Dominic Buckner, and Rights Union Programs and Services Manager to the proviso line.
Okay, there's been a motion made to make an edit in the second whereas clause and add names to the proviso that come from the final therefore clause by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. My apologies, I believe. Oh, are they already in the proviso?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're stupid. All right, more like me. But I would also like to, or do I hear a motion to change the title of SSB 1082 to replace the word benefit with return by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay, like that. All right. Tell me if that pops up for y'all. No.
Yeah, let's change to recommend.
Analyzing the return. Okay, alright, if that looks good to everybody, then do I hear any motions at this time?
Move to pass SB 2025-1082.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1082 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for SSB 1083. The author present. We'll start for 5 minutes, so I won't take that long, hopefully. But really, this is just giving enumerated powers in the codes to something that the External Affairs Agency has done over the course of this year. To have the ability to maintain survey data and use that or to collect analysis on the said data, to provide the lobbying efforts that External Affairs uses, whether they be in Tallahassee or DC. I know that recently we had a survey about food insecurity with over 200 some responses on that survey, which helped inform the agency head of students' feelings and preferences to certain programs that the university has regarding food insecurity. He then brought that data with him up to Tallahassee and DC, where they had their lobbying appointments. So this is really just putting an enumerated power in that the External Affairs Agency already does. He has worked very closely with some of the SG advisors to help create a portion of the student government website where there will be surveys available for students to take and where there'll be survey data collection. The one change that I want to make, a friendly amendment, would be to change the word oversight, I think it's like the fourth or fifth to last sentence, to guidance by the student government advising and operations, because oversight implies that essentially they, I don't know, I just feel like it's too forceful a term, that's all. And when I talk to student government advising about the program, they assured me that the student body president was the one who would have the written approval for the implementation of new data collection. So there, the oversight, student government advising and operations job is to ensure that all laws regarding privacy and things like that are followed. So it's really more guidance in that sense. That's just my opinion. I'll make a motion to do that at some point, but if you'd like to ask me any questions, feel free. I waited the rest of my time. We're now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions? Okay. Seeing none, we now move into 5 minutes of debate. Is there any debate? Now move into motions. Do I hear any motions at this time? Do I hear a motion to amend 1038 to strike the word oversight and replace it with the word, oh my god, it was guidance by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Do I hear any objections? Alright, seeing none, the motion passes. Okay. Let me know if that reflects on y'all's end. Actually, do I hear a motion to remove the brackets from the title by unanimous consent? Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, great. Alright. Do I hear any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1083 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 205-1083 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. Seeing as we have completed all work on the legislative docket, adjourn this meeting at 4:30 p.m. Hopefully please stay because we're going to try and get through this legislative workshop presentation. We want to get it Tuesday, hopefully.